My talk today will be two stories with props. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Today I will start with getting one of the props started. Now I know how to tie a tie from the days of a dress code at IBM. But I decided that the risk of having this tie this in front of you without a mirror was too big a risk to take today. So I decided I'm just going to get this started. But all the props I'm going to show you today have meaning with these two stories. But for our guests, Humor Master is a point to try some risky things, because I'm not getting evaluated. So, today I want to share two stories from a book I finished called H is for Hawk by Helen McDonald. H is for Hawk is a story of grief. Her father, who was a photographer in the London press corps and the London newspapers, died suddenly and unexpectedly. And so the book is partly an exploration of her grief. And it's also a story of how she decided to raise a hawk. Not just any hawk, the biggest, baddest hawk in all of Europe, called a goshawk, which she named Mabel. So the book goes through two parallel paths here as it tries to explain how she dealt with grief and how she tried to raise this hawk. The two stories come from the memorial service for her father. I walked up to the lectern with a paper in my hand. I'd given so many lectures, so many talks, that I thought this would be easy. But it was not. I was terrified. I grabbed the lectern's wooden edges to stop me from swaying. How can I do this? Don't look at the audience, said a voice inside me. Pretend they're not there. And then another voice said, look at the audience. I looked. Hundreds of faces. Dad's colleagues, Dad's friends. The fear vanished in an instant. I couldn't be scared anymore. And I started speaking. I told them about my father. I told them a little about his early life. I told them he'd been a wonderful father. I reminded them, too, of his ridiculous inability to wear anything other than a suit, although he did make concessions on holiday and occasionally removed his tie. I told them that on our trip to Cornwall to photograph the total eclipse, we'd been standing on the beach before the skies darkened when a man who said he was the reincarnation of King Arthur, a man wearing a silver diadem, and long white robes, came up to Dad and said, bewildered, "Why are you wearing that suit?" "Well," said Dad, "you never know who you're going to meet." Down in the press club after the service, the drinks were poured, and poured, and poured some more. Everyone became increasingly expansive, rushed up to tell me stories about my father. The stories got more slurred as the drinking went on, and the hugs and cheek kisses increasingly off target. "Another drink," said one pressman. "Just a soft drink." I said, and back he came with a vast glass of wine. "Is there any soft drink?" I said. He frowned. "This is what I brought you. This is a soft drink." So at some point, the middle of the story, what she tells about her father, will be another speech, but it's more serious and not quite as appropriate for opening up this meeting. One thing I learned reading this is that, as we've had discussions with Pat in our class, in our country we talk about this being a soda, pop, even a Coke. So I guess when you go to London, you have to also call this perhaps a soft drink along with a soda or pop or Coke. So anyway, it's a great book, and I highly encourage you to look at it to come back. Madam Toastmaster.